Welcome to the Command Report, your number one news report for the Washington Commanders.
You know, there's nothing lingering, so that's I'd almost call that an abundance of caution.
And then with Wentz, just in terms of his kind of knowing where to throw or the command, how have you seen that progress just even today?
Well, you can see it. I mean, just watching him go through his progressions. You know, there were a couple times, you know, that he went back and you saw him. You know, he started from one side, worked to the other side. Another time I saw him come back down to a check down. So again, it's understanding what we're trying to do, and he seems to have a good grasp of it already.
At safety with Butler, Forrest, Reeves, at tight end with no Logan, there are some crowded areas. How will you handle those spots here in the early going, and what sort of things will separate those guys in your eyes?
Well, we just want to watch these guys get opportunities and just really go through it. When we got plenty of time, that's the best part about it. We just started camp. We're going to take a look at everybody. We'll try and get guys as many reps as we can so we can make a good, honest evaluation.
And with Antonio out, he'll be back soon. Brian Robinson Jr., what can he add that's different to the backfield that you didn't have without him?
Well, I think he's a big, strong, powerful downhill runner, more so than anything else. He does have a little bit of shake to him, but I think if you look at it, Antonio is a little more elusive guy, more off the edge. Where with Brian, we can take it inside or we can take it off the edge.
Just overall, coming back after a month, the retention, you mentioned Carson, but just the rest of the guys kind of pick up where we left off.
I was happy with where we are in terms of retention, but we got to practice better than we did today. I mean, we just got started. It was fresh in these guys' mind as far as what we're doing. But again, how we do it, we got to be better at it.
Hey, Coach, a lot of the fans wait for this day, and from your perspective, you've been in this league for a long time. What is the first day of training camp like?
A lot of optimism, more so than anything else. That's what it really is. Everybody comes in with a good feeling, all that stuff. But for us, we've got to make sure it's about the evaluation process, and we got to continue to look at what we have and build on it.
And how good does it feel to have Terry McLaurin on board with a long contract, seeing him out there train? Is there, aside from that, is there someone that jumps out that you say, okay, I like what I'm seeing?
Well, I'll say this, just watching Terry go deep and catching the ball the way he did and going after it and making the plays, if anybody's wondering why we did it, that's, to me, the perfect example why we did it. So far in the first day, there's a lot of guys doing some good things already, but, we really won't know until we get a little bit deeper into camp.
Right, you were asked a lot yesterday about kind of the return of normalcy, but how nice is it to have a camp where you have a starting quarterback in place, you have a lot of the kind of starters set? How nice is it to have kind of that lack of maybe kind of drama?
Well, it's good because, there's no doubt, you're not sharing reps, stuff like that, at specific positions. When you got most of your core positions set, you're not having to run guys in and out. You can just go ahead and line those guys up and play.
Ron, Montez Sweat, obviously without Case, he's the focal point on the edge rush. What did you kind of see from him today?
Well, he looks explosive already. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete, and his athleticism shows very quickly. And
reportedly, you guys were stripped of a couple of OTA practices for next year. You were fined, reportedly, because of excess hitting in the previous session. Was that an emphasis of anything that you guys said to the players today about being mindful of what they're doing?
Yeah, it's the same emphasis we did during OTAs and minicamps. Sometimes things happen. Guys run into each other. I try to make a point of it. I try to emphasize it during OTAs and minicamps that we're supposed to keep our heads out of it. We're supposed to defer to the receivers. I repeated that emphasis yesterday in our team meeting, and I repeated it today just before we started practice. We're mindful of the rules, in spite of what was said. I disagree with their assessment of it, but they're the ones who make the assessments.
With Carson coming in, can you tell pretty quickly if the quarterback already has a strong rapport with his receivers, if that connection is there?
It's kind of interesting because between he and Terry, it was kind of cool to see. He threw one out there, Terry went out and got it, and then another one he threw a little behind Terry, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, he missed it. But then Terry came over and told him, hey, I came out of that too soon. So you can see that they're already communicating with each other, which was really kind of cool because my first impression was, oh, he missed a throw. But when Terry came back and told Carson, hey, I came out way too soon, you see that they're developing that type of rapport that's going to be very helpful for each other, for us, for that matter.
How about Carson with the running backs? How has this timing been from what you've seen so far?
Well, I think it's been pretty good. I really do. I think, again, he'll continue to work with those guys. And, like I said, this is early. We got a lot of time to work and develop that.
Do you actively get kind of jacked up for a day like today, or are you more even-keeled, knowing that there's a whole grind ahead of you?
No, it's always fun. The first day is always fun. And, it's one of those things the guys come out with a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. Like I said, optimism is high. And you just, you feed off of that kind of energy. I mean, in about a week, you guys will probably ask me about the grind. But that's just the nature of the business. These first few days, everything's going to be, high energy. I mean, like today's practice was only 90 minutes. They had a lot of energy, and we'll ramp it up gradually. We'll get into the shells and then into the pads, and the next 7 days. But what's happening right now is our guys are just working through the beginning. They're going to be optimistic and excited, but again, then reality will set in a little bit. Yes, I don't know if you guys noticed, but you guys didn't hear the clack of the helmets today. That's typically what happens when you don't have the Guardian caps on. Inevitably, it's incidental contact. Helmet will be hitting helmet. But with these Guardian caps, what they'll do is they'll absorb some of the shock and take a lot of the shock off of the players' helmets and heads. And it's one of the things that the competition committee, along with the NFLPA, and the medical teams have looked at. And that's why we have the Guardian caps on, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point it's going to be mandated, through OTA's minicamp, and because right now it's going to go through the majority of training camp, and then I don't know where it'll go as far as the regular season. But if this comes out and this really helps reduce it, then I'd imagine we would continue to find ways for player health and safety.
Last one. Anything else?
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.
First and foremost, you want everybody to come out healthy. Worst thing you could have is have guys come out, key guys come out of training camp injured. So first and foremost, you want everybody to come out healthy. You want us to really grasp and be on the same page with what we're doing this year and what we're trying to accomplish, and everybody to understand their roles and go out there and have the ability to execute it.
Is there some message, motto that the D-line or style of play that you guys are trying to embody since you're right at the front of that defense and have so much pedigree there?
We're not worried about the pedigree. We're not worried about the potential. That's what people say about a group who hasn't done too much. As defensive linemen, our job is to go out there and stop the run with the light box and affects the quarterback. So that's what we're working towards every day. And we're going to go out there and play to the best of our God-given ability.
John, when you guys have a quarterback, I know this is the other side of the ball, but you got a quarterback like Carson Wentz. What does that, just the talent he's shown, all that, and the numbers he put up in the league, what does that do for both sides of the ball? Does it do anything for you guys?
As a defense, when you have a guy like Carson Wentz, our job is to get him the ball back as many times as we can throughout the course of the game. So we understand what our offense can do, and it's on us to hold up our end of the bargain.
There's been obviously a lot of attention around him the last couple of years, a couple trades and all that. When someone like that comes in, what questions do you have, and what have you seen from him since he's been here?
I really don't need to ask him any questions. What he does on a day-to-day basis will tell me everything I need to know about him. He came in, he worked, he involved himself with the team, and he's exactly what we want from a quarterback. So I have no questions. I know a lot of the times the media doesn't really get the full story, only the story that some people portray. And so I'm not worried about what the media says. I'm worried about what I see with my own eyes, and he's given me no reason to doubt him at all.
In the last couple of years, it's been COVID stuff and maybe who's the quarterback questions. How nice is it to have a camp where there's not a whole lot of that drama kind of surrounding you guys?
One thing about the NFL is every day can change, so I'm not worried about the drama because at the end of the day, that doesn't really affect me. Yes, it affects me when I come up here and I answer questions, but for the most part, my day-to-day work, the questions, the drama, none of that affects me because at the end of the day, I got a job to do, and we get paid to do it. That's why we're professionals. So the outside noise doesn't really affect me personally. I would like to assume that it doesn't affect most of the guys out there because we're all professionals and we know how to handle our business.
Competition around here, too. A lot of the positions seem to be set. Is that helpful as a team to kind of know who your kind of starting unit is, even if there's some competition here and there?
I think it can be helpful to help build that chemistry, but I think competition is really good. I think it's really good if everybody on this team and on this defense knows that you're one snap away, you're one bad play away, you're one bad game or one bad year from being replaced. So every year you're fighting for your spot, no matter what position you're in. Just got a contract, been in the league for 6-7 years. There's always someone who's trying to take your job, and you got to understand that.
Hey, Jonathan. Craig Lober, Wavy TV 10 in Norfolk. One of the guys behind you was Jamin Davis, who, like a first-round pick like yourself, is taking that second-year leap. Is there something to that second year that tends to click for players when you get out there? Does it slow down? And what do you hope to see out of Jamin playing behind you this year?
I mean, rookie year is tough. You come in, you're being thrown into a new city, new teammates, new organization. You're asked to pick something up quickly. And as a first-round pick, you're expected to go out there and immediately make an impact. And I think that's a lot. And obviously, I don't think he had the year that he wanted to have, but all you can do is bust your balls and work every single day to improve as a player. And he's done that. So I just want him to give me everything he got. I mean, at the end of the day, if you give me everything you got, I can live with whatever the results are.
Athletically, does he tend to flash a lot of times? He might not have had the results, but those flashes,
Flashes all the time. I mean, he runs a 4.3, 4.4, 40-inch vert. I mean, he has everything you want.
John, when you get into the grind, do you have time for big picture goals like playoffs and that kind of stuff? Does that come up, or are you too involved in the play-to-play, day-to-dayness?
I mean, we all know what we're working for. We're not going to act like we don't think about it. We understand that the goal is to win the division and move on through the playoffs. But before you can get to that goal, you got to work out what's ahead of you. We understand we got to take it day by day. You can't worry about the playoffs, even though that is the main goal. Or not the main goal, one of our goals to accomplish what we want to accomplish, and that's winning the Super Bowl. But you don't get there. You don't get to your goals by focusing on your goal every day. You get to your goals by every day. You take another step forward, and you continue to grind and focus on the task at hand.
I know you're not an outside noise guy, a social media guy, but yesterday Ron was saying that sometimes the drama that seems to follow this team on and off the field throughout the years, does sometimes make his job harder. Do you see that affecting your teammates? And as a leader, how do you then respond or address that?
It doesn't make my job harder. My job is to play double teams and sack the quarterback. Coach Rivera is the leader of this team, so he has to deal with that stuff. I don't have to deal with that. I get asked questions about it, but I can always defer and I can always move on. Coach doesn't have that ability. He has to answer, and he has to take these problems head on. So when outside noise does happen, it does affect him more. But when I get criticized on Twitter or when you guys bring it to me, in one ear, out the other, I don't care. I'm here to play football. And I'm not going to let anything that happens outside of here stop me from doing that.
Are you excited to get back on the field and kind of get back to focusing on, the goal of making the playoffs going forward?
Very excited. Very excited.
John, how do you know when good habits are being built during the course of a run-up to a season? And conversely, how do you know when bad habits are seeping in and you try to squash them?
The eye in the sky doesn't lie. When you turn on the film and you see the little things not being done right, well, bad things are being formed, as opposed to when you see good things, good little things happening, you know that we're doing the right thing. We got to continue to do that. Running off the field, running to the ball, playing well, practicing well. Just some of the stuff that goes into having a successful season.
How does someone learn to live with the results if the process is good?
Coach Saban would always say, as long as you give 100%, you can always live with the results. The times you can't live with it is when you don't give 100%, because you'll always be questioning, what if? But every time I go out on the field, now I'm not perfect, I understand that. I try to give 100%. And as long as I do that, I might not be happy with the results, but I can live with them.
Are you still in touch with Coach Saban on a pretty regular basis?
I don't like to bother him. I know he has a lot going on, but I did go down there and visit Alabama for the spring game and spend some time talking to him. So, I mean, I want to say we talk regularly, but anytime I'm in Alabama, I do make a conscious effort to go and see him and just talk to him. I was in more contact with him my first 2 years. I would call him up, ask him advice, and he would always answer.
All right, thanks, John.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Fun to get back out there and officially kick it off the right way. And, we got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of work to do, but I'm excited for the season.
Carson, I'm sure there's different mile markers for you throughout a training camp. What's sort of the first one that you get to that you're kind of most focused on to get established and then kind of move forward?
Yeah, I think early on for me is just finding that timing and chemistry with guys. You get a little bit of it in the spring, you get a little bit of it in the summer, on your own.
But now that you're out here against the defense, all that stuff, just understanding guys, how they get in and out of breaks, in and out of cuts, finding that chemistry so I can, get the ball out on time, where it needs to be, and just start working that chemistry with these guys. That's really the focal point kind of for me early on, but then also just building that culture, that chemistry with all the guys, both on and off the field. And it's been fun, even just through these first day and a half here.
And with regards to the playbook, where is that process for you? I mean, I'm sure at one point you want to get it so you're completely instinct, but like where are you kind of now with that?
Yeah, I feel good with it. Honestly, I feel good. It was an adjustment in the spring. It was a lot of information. It's always a new language, but it's the part of the game that I love. It's the part understanding the X's and O's, asking the questions. Why are we doing this? What's going on here? And Coach has been awesome helping me learn and learn quickly, and I feel pretty good with it.
Hi, Carson. Do you know pretty quickly if you're going to have a strong connection with a receiver or a tight end? Does that you notice it pretty quickly, or does it take a while to build up?
It's definitely a fair question. I'd say yes. Normally, everyone's unique. Everyone's different. Some days you come out here, you're going to get 20-some reps with the guys. Some days you're going to not get a single one. And so that's part of it. But, you start to see guys' tendencies early and start to kind of understand how they get in and out and what they do well and how we can work together. And so I like what I see out there. I think we got a dynamic group and a lot of really good playmakers that we just got to find a way to get it in their hands. I got to find a way to get it in their hands and let them make their plays.
Might be a stupid question, but how do you go about building the culture within the locker room and building just that rapport and chemistry with guys that you're fairly new to?
Yeah, you try not to do anything out of the ordinary. You just let those relationships naturally build. You come in. For me, this is year 7. Things are different. I'm a little older. A little different perspective and relatively younger team, younger locker room. And so, just how do you build relationships? It looks different every year. Every locker room looks different, but you just have to be intentional and build that chemistry and that relationship in time. And it's a lot of good dudes in there, and it's been fun getting to know them.
Carson, have you been around enough to have a sense of the whole roster and what the potential of this team might be?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Obviously, it's a little different, but I've played this team plenty over the years, so I've seen my fair share of the guys on the defensive side of the ball from the other side, and so I definitely know the potential. I know we got a long way to go. I know it's day one. There's a lot of mistakes out there to clean up on both sides of the ball. But I think that the nucleus of the team, the chemistry, the culture that's been established is going to keep getting better, and I like what I see right now.
At all during the offseason when you meet with guys, you had those workouts, does playoffs ever come up? Do you think in those terms, or no?
Not really. You all have goals. You all have goals, high expectations. You have a lot of that, but then you come out here and it's like, okay, how do I get better today? You have these long-term goals, but then you can't look too much at the future, look too much ahead, because you got to do what's required of you at that moment, within each play, within each practice, within each day. And so try not to think too big picture like that, because you can overlook some things that are right in front of you. And I think most guys have that same kind of mindset of just every day, let's get a little bit better. We know where we want to go. We know the expectations. That's understood. But now how do we get there one day at a time?
Carson, I know this wasn't your first time on the field with these guys, but there's something a little bit different at the start of training camp. Did it feel any different for you? Was there any kind of introspection today before you come out here because it is the start of camp?
Yeah, it's a good question. It was a little hotter, a little more humid early on, but otherwise not really. We're still right here at the facility, same group of guys, same everything. I think walking in yesterday, just officially, hey, year 7's kicking off. Just that realization of year 7 for me and all of that, and what comes along with that. So that was cool, kind of just a surreal thing. Every year you kind of get goosebumps again, thinking you grew up wanting to play this game and you're still playing it. So I get those kind of goosebumps every camp on day one, and then it's just ball. It's just ball and go have fun.
And then given your situation the last couple of years, is it almost natural to lead to some sort of introspection about, well, is there something I can do better to make sure I don't put myself in that situation again? And if so, was there anything that you kind of looked at yourself in the offseason and say, well, I want to be better here going into this year? Anything at all?
Yeah, I think regardless if it's a good, bad, ugly game, year, whatever, I'm always that way. I'm always trying, how can I get better? How can I look at myself first? Where can I get better? Where can I help the team be better? All of those things. And so for me, it's just coming in and distributing the ball to these guys and being efficient, being effective, being consistent, both physically with my play and also just with my attitude, with my leadership, trying to be consistent with that. And so those are things I look at every single year. And then there's always a couple things here and there mechanically that you're trying to focus on, or fundamentally that most people would probably never understand or really recognize. But you're always focusing on a couple things in the off seasons to try and get better.
How beneficial was that workout in California with the rest of the group, and what made you kind of want to do that?
It was really good. I think it was beneficial to get on the field, obviously, for a couple days and start building that chemistry that I've been talking about, but also just off the field. Going to dinner with each guy, going to breakfast, lunch, just being around them. Going and just kicking it with the guys, getting to know each guy, where we're from, what we like, what are our hobbies. Guys are in different seasons of life. I got 2 kids and married and a lot of single guys, and it's just a different kind of atmosphere, and to come together and kind of build a relationship it was a lot of fun. It's something that I definitely cherish, getting to know guys from all over the place, and I thought that was fun. The workouts were great, and it was definitely beneficial.
Is there any guy's hobby that stood out to you, or any fun tidbits you learned?
Not really. I mean, Terry's big into golf now. I learned, which I am too. So I think we hit it off on that front. Jahan doesn't do anything but play video games. Learned that one. But no, good group of guys. It was fun getting to know them and see each guy's personality off the field.
Ron told you when you first showed up in March that you're wanted here, and apparently he also had that conversation with you recently. What does that message do for you?
Yeah, I think for anybody, it just builds confidence. It builds confidence within myself. I always think I'm a confident person, but hearing it from somebody else, from the head coach, those types of things, definitely just instills that confidence even more to just go out there and don't put pressure, don't put expectations, just play free, have fun and play free and be you. And just that reminder always from him means a lot, so I can just go out there, play loose, play fast, play free, and have fun.
And at camp, do you have a philosophy of I'm at camp, maybe I'll force something here to get a feel for it, or are you trying to treat it like it's a Sunday, maybe not, turn the ball over? What's your philosophy in that regard?
It's a great question. I think there's some plays within a camp you want to see how they look and, different things, but once camp hits, it's really, I want to be clean. I want to be efficient. I want to be effective. If the deep ball's there, let's take it. If it's not there, find the check down and start building those habits of just being efficient, being effective, and playing fast. Maybe in OTAs it's a little bit different. Maybe you're trying to hang on some stuff, be more aggressive. Here it's going to come in spurts, but for the most part, your sights are set on being clean and being efficient, and that's what I try and do each time I'm out there.
Got time for two more.
Hey, Carson, training camp is unique in a sense that you get up close and personal with the fans. Does that help at all when you have fans this close, and you get to meet them afterward and sign autographs? And my second one is Ron talked a little bit yesterday about rebuilding the culture and getting fans back at FedEx. Yep. And, how important is that to you to have, a rockin' home crowd behind you?
Yeah, fan support means a lot. Just seeing them out here, even a little bit in OTAs and stuff. And especially the last couple of years with COVID and different protocols and all these things, being personal with people was definitely kind of limited for a lot of reasons, a lot of people. And so just being able to have those interactions, even interactions with y'all, that are different than the last couple of years is refreshing. It's refreshing to me. And then seeing the fan support, that's always huge. And I look forward to seeing FedEx continue to get rocking, and hopefully we can bring them something to cheer about.
Last one.
Carson, how challenging has it been to have to start all over again in 3 different cities throughout the past, 3 years? Yeah. And how do you feel knowing that you're wanted here for the future?
Yeah, I feel confident in myself. I feel belief in myself from the people around me, which means a lot. It is unique. It's a unique business. You're 1 year here, 1 year there, and you try to, you have your sights set on long term wherever you are. But God has different plans sometimes, and try and make the most of it. Try and make the most of it, and just keep plugging along. And I got an awesome wife and kids that they pick up, and here we are. And we're going to fully invest in this city and this team and the people around us, and try and make the most of it for, God willing, hopefully a long time. And it definitely brings about some different life circumstances that I think a lot of people don't understand within a family dynamic, but it's also fun. It's part of the adventure for my family and I, and we're loving it. So, thank you, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Command Report. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest Washington Commanders news.